And we are live. Hello everyone, this is the Quest Army Hangout. I am your host, Joff, with my wife, Rebecca.
Hello.
And joining us tonight, we have Stacy.
Hey.
And Misty.
Hi.
And Lorelei.
Hi.
And Josh.
How's it going, guys?
And Amanda.
Hello.
And our very special guest, Patrick Higgins.
What's
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us, Patrick. I mean, this is an absolute pleasure. I was actually saying to Rebecca before we opened the Hangout that the first time I watched the show, you were the Paladin I related to most. Obviously, given my physical appearance and the accent. But I don't know what it was. It's just you were the Paladin I rooted for before I knew who you guys were, and I was thrilled to see you get as far as you did. And I'm absolutely honored that you joined us tonight. So thank you, sir.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Hey.
Okay, let's get straight to the questions.
Hey!
Meatloaf!
Let's hey Stacy, why don't we start with you?
Mom.
Okay, hi Patrick.
Hi. I already know you're a spy, so let's move on. No,
I solemnly swear I'm up to no good.
Nice.
Okay, my question. You seem to drop very easily into subordinate position with Ansgar, showing respect for commanding officer and such. Did you have any military experience before this, or would you attribute this to your trooping with the 501st, or where did that come from?
That's a good question. I don't have any military experience. The 501st, I mean, yeah, we do like the Star Wars costuming, and it's kind of like the military, theme to it. But I don't know. I think it's just how I was raised. You show respect, you give respect, and you earn respect. So, I mean, as far as that goes, that's probably the best way, the best explanation I could give for it. I mean, he was our CO, he was our commanding officer, and figured if we were going to save Everealm, he was the guy we had to listen to. There was no point in crossing him.
Awesome. Thank you.
And he didn't like the Vizier, so that always was good, too.
Well,
sorry, I had to get that in there.
Joff, do you mind if I follow up with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was actually going to ask a question. Hey, I'm Josh. So, what I was curious about, so Ansgar was kind of the tough love at the beginning, and it took a while for you guys to kind of earn that mutual respect. And I'm wondering, at what point, maybe which episode, if you could lay it out for us, at which point did you feel like he was actually rooting for you guys and not just yelling at you guys, at that point?
I think the turning point was when we had to save the Queen, when we had to get the antidote. I think that's really when you started to see him kind of soften up, maybe start. I mean, I don't think he quite believed in the prophecy just yet, following the storyline, but he believed in us, and he, obviously, loved his Queen. So I think that was the turning point there. There was still some yelling after that, but for many episodes. But I think that was the turning point.
I think that was what was most surprising. One day he was all about you guys, and then the next day, I think it was the battering ram challenge, and he's like, he's yelling at Bonnie saying she was pathetic or something. And I was like, oh, I thought you liked them now, but I guess.
Hey, still got to get put through the rigor and.
Yeah, totally.
All that other stuff.
Right on. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just realized I was remiss. I failed to introduce Ron. I'm sorry, Ron. Hello. Please
Poor Ron.
That's
Poor
It makes it
Ron.
last night, Joff, so no worries.
Josh.
Scribe has failed.
If you have a question, please go ahead, Ron.
Just a simple question. How hard is a little check?
What? A little check?
Yeah.
You mean with the cages? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
Oh, yeah. It may have been harder than a little. It wasn't quite like I flattened his cage, but it was. I threw my weight into it. I was irritated that day. I mean, you could visibly see the point in the episode where I went from kind of laid back, happy-go-lucky to Patrick to really, really pissed off Patrick. It just built and built and built. So I couldn't exactly tell you how hard it was. Christian would probably be a better person to ask that question.
That's what I think that was a victory that felt most deserved and earned. I feel like your reaction after that. I don't think anybody gave up that much of a relief and a that much energy. It was awesome.
And that was I think that was the point where I earned that nickname Oso Grande, or everyone had their own version of Bear. The guys called me Oso Grande. Bonnie called me Brother Bear. Jasmine called me Baloo, but it was all a bear of some sort.
And also, it was. I just want to add at the end of that challenge, Patrick, it was just very telling that Christian obviously followed you in. I don't know how long after, but you helped him out of the cage, and you helped Adria out of her cage, and then the three of you, when what happened to Bonnie did happen, when she hurt herself, the three of you hauled ass.
Yeah.
I mean, everything else aside, just to see you Paladins, you were still there for each other, and that really, I think that stuck with a lot of us.
Yeah. I think that was the first time that they really let us go and help each other out. I mean, and you didn't see it in the episode, but we had to sit there and we waited a lot longer than it seemed like in the episode. We were there for a good 5 or 10 minutes, and finally it was just like,
wow,
I'm gonna go whether you film me or not, or whether, because she was honestly hurt, and I'm like, I'm going, I don't care. And, Creel must have gotten the okay from someone, because he's like, okay, you can go, and I think I leapt over all the stairs that we went up into the hall of fates, and I was like, okay. So
that's awesome. Misty, are you there? I think you might be muted right now. There you go.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes. You. I just want to know, how has things been different since the episodes have aired with your students and everything like that? Do they treat you any differently?
Well, I'm at a new school this year, so they've only seen me. They've known real early on that I was on the show and everything. So these students, I mean, it's interesting. It still comes up in class. We'll do something on the screen where there's like an interactive activity, and Paladin Patrick always makes it up there because the kids can choose their names. They can type in whatever they want. There's some Burlock up there. John Blades, shows up. So the kids still use it as a talking point. And like I said, I had a parent last night who wanted to just do nothing but talk about the show and not their daughter. So yeah, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I have some of my former students had started like a Quest fan Twitter account that lasted like 2 weeks, which is a long time, for high schoolers to, hold their attention. But
have you showed them your Quest wristband yet?
I can't wear it at school, out visible. We have to wear a shirt and a tie, teach at a private school, so we have very strict, dress codes. I see yours, and thank you so much. Lucy loves hers. Although we have to make her put it on her nightstand because her wrists are so tiny it falls right off. And if we let it fall on the floor, Nymeria will chew it up. That dog eats everything.
Okay. Lorelei, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Patrick, I was wondering, Did you think when you tried out and got accepted on the show that it would turn into such a big deal that it actually has turned into, that you guys are like so recognized now?
I didn't know what to expect. I didn't even know what we were going to be doing with the show as far as what was going to happen. Even when we got there, none of us really knew what to expect. But yeah, it's as far as like what's kind of come from it. It's interesting getting recognized. Some of the things that people ask you to do. I had someone send me a message today, ask if I could help out with their proposal to his future. I'm not quite sure what that's going to entail yet, but that should be interesting. But as far as like, it is weird when you do get recognized by complete strangers. It's happened a few times. Once, it happened at a Ren Fair. That's to be expected. But one time I was at Costco and the guy's checking me out, and he's like, "You're on TV, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah." You never know how to respond to those kind of questions. But it's been overall, I think it's just been an amazing experience. None of us really knew what was going to come of it. Doing the convention with Bonnie a few weekends ago was really cool, and kind of being on that side of it and have people, we had pseudonym names for check-in. Like I didn't check in under Patrick Higgins. I had like a fake name all set for me, so I was like, it's kind of weird. But it's been fun, and I never expected anything. I just figured, we'll see what happens. So far, everything's been awesome. I need like a button, so every time I say awesome, I think of that Lego Movie song. It's awesome.
That's awesome. Thanks, Lorelai.
That is awesome.
Amanda, do you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Amanda.
First of all, I'm sorry if I sent you any mean tweets during the season. I was a little emotionally involved.
Oh no, no, you're fine.
I get a little emotional when it comes to things like that. Anyway, so my question is, like, what kind of drew you to Audition in the first place? I mean, you're an algebra teacher. Why did you audition in the first place?
Well, yeah, I do. I am a teacher, but I'm also like a huge nerd. I can't tell you how many years I spent playing D&D. Lord of the Rings is like one of my favorite books and movies. And so when I think it was one of my fellow Garrison members had posted this, and I was sitting in front of the computer. I remember it was a Sunday night. I was sitting there working on something for school, and I saw this pop up on Facebook. I'm like, this email will take about 5 minutes to send. Why not? And I got nothing to lose. Sent it off, and honestly forgot about it by the next day. But then I got a phone call like within a few minutes of walking in the door from work, and it was from LA, and I was like, no, this can't be it. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. And the further I got in the process, the more excited I got, because this really sounded like something that would be, just truly amazing. And without even really knowing what it was, I literally, when I was in my early 20s, I had a friend that ran these D&D campaigns, and I would call in sick from work because we got so into it, just so I could stay home, and we would do these 24-hour marathons. We'd load up on caffeine and do nothing but sit around a table and play D&D, and we're grown men, but it was just to be able to lose yourself in that. And to get so invested in in a world that's just a fantasy world, and then to have an opportunity without even really knowing what it was going to be like, but to have that potential opportunity to experience something like that, it was just, it was a no-brainer. I'm like, this show was made for me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's awesome. I'm saying awesome now. I'm going to just keep saying awesome. Awesome! Shaka, do you have an awesome question?
Yes, I do have an awesome question. What I was kind of wondering is, you briefly mentioned being at the con, and it was Fantasticon that you and Bonnie went to together.
Yeah.
How has it been for you this is a mixed question. It's partially something I wanted to know, and partially something Jack wanted to know.
Right.
Jack wanted to know more details about the convention, but what I want to know is how has it been for you to basically be an ambassador for the Quest and to be a paladin since you went through this whole experience?
Yeah, it's been great, and I would love, it's really telling the fact that so many of us are doing everything we can to push forward with, trying to get another season. When it, obviously we wouldn't even be a part of it, but our experience on the show was so amazing that we want to see what another season will bring. We want to see, we want there to be another 12 people that can go through and experience something similar to what we did, and to be able to do that at conventions, if there's something small like what we did with Fantasticon, which was a really small con, but we got to meet some really cool fans there, and talk about the show, and really that's what you're there for, is just to talk about the show. It was really, really neat, a lot of fun, and being just, I guess it's a way, being doing this, advocating for the show, is a way to kind of keep one foot in Everealm still, because it really was such a magical experience, and to not completely turn your back and walk away from that and be like, okay, well that was fun, let's move on. To hopefully be part of what we hope is a second season.
That's awesome. Actually, that leads me to ask my question. That actually fits perfectly. If you could go back, Patrick, to Everealm, what would you do?
Obviously couldn't be a paladin. I couldn't be a new paladin.
Right.
that would be too obvious. So aside from being another, sneaking into that group of 12, I'd probably want to either work hand in hand with Ansgar, training him.
Mm-hmm.
He and I did have like a real mutual respect. I mean, there's a lot that you didn't see, like that didn't make the show of banter between he and I. The whole Lady Patrick thing. They never showed me giving it back to him. I mean, I made comments about his lackluster sword skills and his but it was a mutual respect kind of thing, and or going back like as a Queen's Guard, because I thought, like, when Ralia said that was really cool. I mean, I'm like, that would be awesome to go back and like be one of her guards. Even if I just sat there holding the sword and staring down people who walked in the room and I never said a word, that'd be awesome.
We'll vote for you.
That was awesome when Suzanne shared that, yeah, you were the one of the 12 paladins that she would want in her guard. I just thought that's cool, because I can picture that. I can totally picture that, because in the rewatch, episode 7, Verlock's attacks, right at the beginning of the episode, Verlock shows up, you guys immediately retreat, a tactical retreat, and you are hollering and yelling, and you are right next to Ralia, and you are, Ansgar's taking up the rear and Creo's leading, but you were right there and protecting the Queen, and I just thought that was awesome. I mean, very cool. Okay, Stacy, let's come back to you. Do you have another question? I can come back.
Sound like it when you get. I'm expecting a little swish or something.
I have not yet completed.
I see you lost another.
I'm working on that. I will be as Arch as Marcello one day. But yes, come back. I will be back.
Okay. Misty, do you have another question for Patrick?
Yeah, since we know that the producers of the Quest also work on Amazing Race, if you and your wife were asked to be on it, would y'all?
That'd be a tough one. I mean, we've got Lucy. It would be great to do something like that with Becky. I don't know how feasible that would be. She's a type 1 diabetic, so certain things like that might be a little bit rough. But if we could do it, and we knew there would be no problems. We could like hide Lucy in a backpack, kind of like Yoda on my back, call it a handicap, and the whole family could be together. Then yeah, I mean, yeah, if there was no way to have Lucy be a part of it, I think one of us would have to stay back with her. She'd go crazy. But yeah, no, I mean, it's fun. Like if it were just in a perfect world, and it was, could I do something like that with Becky in a heartbeat? I mean, she's my partner for life, and she compliments me in all the best ways, and yeah. So not to mention she's a pretty kick-ass athlete too. So I wouldn't have to be like, come on, hurry up.
And if I could get one quick one in, out of all the puzzles that y'all had to do, what is the one you hated the most?
That's a tough one. Because there's so many that I hated. I mean, and for different reasons. Like the drag where we had to put the winch together and do the dragon cage. Because like I had the damn thing together, it just didn't work. Something screwed up and whatever.
Do you think there are any paladins that didn't believe you on that?
Oh yeah, I'm sure there are. I mean, they didn't have to. Shadow came over and he saw. I'm like, look, it's together, correct? Everything's turning, but the minute you put the chain on it, it stops working. Whatever. Whatever. Probably. I go back and I kick myself in the butt over that first one still. It was a scorpion challenge, and I think that was the one that I kind of dropped the ball, and I really should have, played off of my strengths and spoken up and been on top and, up in the tower. Katie would have been there for more than one episode then, because that was rough seeing her go home. Because that was my Chicago connection, my buddy. I didn't want to see, and when we were both in the bottom two, that was going to suck either way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ron, do you have a second question?
I do. Actually, I have a short one and then kind of a lengthier one. So, Daryl Marone at Varpal Wit, I hope I said that right. He wanted to know, since in the first episode you kind of stated that you're kind of a loud sleeper, snorer, was there at any point where Bonnie was the one snoring, waking you up?
No. I almost always fell asleep before Bonnie. And yeah, I never heard her make a peep. And she is not a morning person. That's the only noise. That's the only like kind of inhuman noise that I ever heard out of her was in the mornings. I'd be like, Bonnie, do you want to get up and go take a shower? Some of us are going down. No. She's not a morning person, but no, she never woke me up, and it would be next to impossible. We have a tornado siren right outside, like within 100 yards of our door, and it went off one night and didn't wake me up. My wife had to come down and shake me. Siren's going off. We might want to go downstairs. So not only am I a loud sleeper, but I'm a heavy sleeper.
Okay. Thanks. So my second question is, since you started the Fedocracy group, Paladins in Training, there's a small number of us, but what would be your recommendations for if someone's trying to get back into shape? What would you recommend the type of workout to get them ready if they wanted to be on Season 2?
I would definitely say start with cardio. So all the running we had to do. So start with that, and then just in general, regardless of Season 2 or any type of fitness, you want to start strengthening your core, because any injuries usually stem from there. From not having a strong enough core, that's where bad form kicks in and people hurt their backs. And just from there, you just gotta build up your endurance, and then play with. Don't be afraid of the weights either. In fact, I just said that to my oldest daughter, shortly before I logged on here, because she's in her senior year now, and she's on POMS, and she's like, yeah, but when I'm done with POMS, I want to start like working out for real, not just this dance stuff. And don't be afraid of the weights. You don't necessarily have to, you can lift weights and not be huge. You can.
Sure.
I know plenty of women who, you would never guess by looking at them. They don't fit the stereotype of, women who lift weights. So, but I'd say definitely a combination of cardio and strength training.
And for your schedule, do you do CrossFit mainly in the mornings, or like where do you find time to do all of this?
I wait, and my students and coworkers think I'm nuts. I wake up at 3:30 in the morning, and drive to my cousin's CrossFit box, and I do the 5 o'clock class there, and then drive to my mom's house because she lives by my school that I work at, and shower there, and then go to school. And it works out well to kind of stick to that routine and do that 5 days a week.
Yeah, sounds intense. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lorelei, do you have another question?
Yes, I do, actually, and it's along the lines of yours and Bonnie's kind of friendship thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember which episode it is, but it was when she turned around and took off her pen and handed it to you and said, win it for her. What went through your mind when she did that?
Are you talking about the episode where she went home?
I think it was the one before that, because she was going to get eliminated, but she didn't, and she had taken off her mark.
Where she was going to do that. That was a tough one, because that was the cage challenge one. There was 3 people up for elimination. Even after I was safe from that one, but that was I guess the best I could say is I was terrified. I mean, because there was 3 people up there, and I didn't want to lose Adrian, I didn't want to lose Bonnie, and Bonnie, for as much of a rap she got from some people. I mean, until the end, when people really start seeing how strong a person she really was. But like, for me, not being the strongest paladin or the most physical paladin, all that aside, she was like my rock on the show. Like, she was what grounded me, and kept me focused. And for as much as she goes on about how I helped her and I was there for her and whatnot, she was there for me. I mean, she was someone I got close enough to and was comfortable enough to where I could like talk about how I missed my wife and my daughter, and and we got close, and doing that kind of kept me focused too. So the possibility of losing her was rough, and I think when she eventually did go home, it was, I don't want to say I was out of lost focus or anything like that, but it was definitely like things around like the camp, because we were outside at the time, it was just different. It was like a big chunk, like someone died basically.
Okay. Josh, do you have a second question?
Yeah. Let me see. I'm thinking, based on what you've just talked about. So what I was curious about, Patrick, a couple of things. First is one of the things that drew me into the show was the immersion factor. And I love how you had talked about in Questions and Ansgar's how after a couple episodes you guys were just so immersed that you kind of forgot about the cameras. You were really into it, and I'm thinking, I'm wondering because I love that. And was there a point where you suddenly snapped out of realizing that you had just been so immersed that you've forgotten where you were? Maybe you completely believed in what you were doing. Did you ever get that deep into believing, just based on what was going on?
I don't know if I'd say like there was any given moment where I was like, wow, I'm in a, where I truly in my heart is a hard time.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was easy like to get into it. It's like maybe for the first couple you really had to, it wasn't like necessarily forcing to try and put yourself in that mindset. But I'd say, after a couple episodes, it was just you slipped right into it, and yeah, you knew in the back of your mind that this wasn't real, but especially when we were in the heat of the moment with the competitions and whatnot, you didn't look at it that way. You looked at it as this is real, this is happening. You know, when Ansgar's yelling at us and, you know, to go do this or go do that or something's happening or the Queen's poisoned, you know, you get so immersed in it that, yeah, there's a part of you that, like, really feels, like, concerned for the Queen or really, like, Ansgar's fighting this ogre, like, really, we've got to get this thing together so he doesn't, you know, get his head torn off by the ogre. And then the voice of reason comes by and says, no, we really shouldn't put this together because what if we miss? And we hit what if the guy in the ogre suit takes an arrow to the knee? No, that's not going to be
good. He did say listen no matter what, right?
Right. Exactly.
Cool.
Amanda, do you have another question?
I'm trying to think of one. I guess, like, I've been in the hell of a senior year of engineering school, so I'm pretty far behind in, like, things. So I don't know if this has been asked yet, but I guess as far as, like, hygiene goes, like, what products were you guys allowed to have? Because, like, I know, like, it kind of seemed like Andrew had, like, hair gel and stuff like that. Like, how much were you guys allowed to, like, actually have that wasn't of Everealm?
Like, we had deodorant, we had, like, shaving cream to shave, shampoo, like, all that stuff, you know, we could have. We had, like, a little basket that we could have all our toiletries and whatnot in, and obviously Andrew had an abundance of hair gel. You know, when he was rocking the mohawk. But yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, like, they gave us soap, but it was like a natural soap, and I was never sure if we were supposed to wash our bodies or our clothes with that, so I kind of did both. But they give us like 2 different scents. So I decided my clothes were going to smell lemony and I was going to smell like trees. Something like that.
That's fair.
Okay.
Yeah, like, we even had, like, Shondo was for a while until they got him some clippers, was using my, like, beard trimmer to do his whole head to get the fade going on, you know. So, but they eventually got that stuff. I don't remember. I have to imagine the girls had a hairdryer, but I don't ever recall hearing one. So,
This is an embarrassing follow-up, and you don't have to name names, but were there any Paladins who did not choose to use any sort of cleaning products? Or
I think everyone was grateful for showers when we got them. It was bad enough we had to walk down like 80-some-odd stairs just to use the bathroom. So when they said you can take a warm shower, which was not every day, we jumped all over that.
Right.
Okay, Stacy, you have a question.
I do.
Hooray!
I don't know if I like the tone of that.
Oh,
I do.
How far along are you on your promise to Sir Heinrich?
I have to acquire the armor because he can't. That would be a very short career in the Armored Combat League. With no armor.
Come on.
Yeah, but it's not. It's on the table. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of basically funds to try and get that armor and then get it. Get it?
We could Kickstarter this. I mean, we will all pitch in.
Yeah, something tells me the Quest Army would have your armor for you in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
But no, I really, really want to do it. And like I said, if I had my armor now, I would be at their practice. I'm friends with a bunch of the Illinois people who do the Armored Combat League out here, and Facebook friends. I haven't met any in person yet, but I want to get on that. He gave me a sword, and that was probably my favorite moment of the show, and it didn't even happen on camera. But And I promised him, and not only will I get out there and get competitive with it, but I will make sure I get good enough to go face him over Battle of the Nations one year.
Awesome.
That's cool. That's really cool.
I will
But
watch
that's-
that.
Yeah. Favorite moments was learning that Heinrich did that for you, because
Yes.
man, that's no small gesture. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, no, I mean when he gave that to me and he pulled me aside, I was damn near in tears, you know. So, and Jasmine was sitting right there, and I looked over, and she has this like wide-eyed expression, like, and then like she's like, oh, maybe I should step back and give them some space. what are you doing with your family, Steve? But yeah, that was a pretty epic moment. So.
I'm going to turn to you, Becca.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I'm kind of wondering is, what would you say would be one of the most surprising moments or things about the whole experience for you? Like something that you completely did not expect to have happen, and it just kind of, when it happened, it kind of blew you away about the experience.
I think, I mean, you could say the whole experience, but I think the moment that like the whole thing blew us away. And it was just one thing, like just when you thought that you couldn't be blown away again, they went ahead and did it. Like initially when they, like in the beginning, very first episode when they show us walking down that hall, you know, the stone hallway, you know, to go to the underground, a lot of the stuff that you guys didn't get to see because it got cut out of the, you know, originally it was a 2-hour episode. But that, like, it was, we were blindfolded, and all of a sudden they shove us into this hallway and take the blindfold off and just said, keep walking and you'll know when to stop. So I mean, we were in this underground, the little shots that they showed you just do not do this place justice. I mean, it was like an underground complex with rivers and long staircases down to the river, and we were on this raft for about 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden we hear the fates off in the distance. It was crazy. And then, but I think the biggest like wow moment was the morning where we came out and, you know, we were covered in mud, and you come out and they had it timed perfectly because you come out and you see the sun rising behind the castle and it's right there. And, you know, and I was just like stopped in awe. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, no, we're really not going to get to stay there, are we? Because that looks way too cool. And then when we found out that we were, it was like, wow. I mean, just, I'll never forget that moment, coming out of the woods and just seeing the castle up on the hill, you know, behind the trees. It was amazing.
I think so many of us, that was the moment where we just got hooked on the show. We just fell in love with it.
Yeah, I mean, they nailed that scene. Even, you know,
It was perfect.
They nailed it.
Also, Shondo writing his name on his shirt.
I think lots of shirts with his name on it.
I think watching the different Paladins' reactions to seeing that, every time I watch the first episode, because you know Jim is just giggling, Christian's near to tears, Letitia can't believe it, and Shonda is just like, oh yeah, we're doing it. And everybody, like you could almost see everybody's personalities from that first moment. Christian was crying.
I know, he was like this, like, oh, and then there's that one shot of him with his arms like extended towards the castle.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Shondo's got the wide-eyed Shondo look like, what?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm actually going to turn to Twitter for our next question because at the Josh time, Josh Mock himself has a great question. I have to ask this.
Patrick,
awesome. Patrick, if the Paladins were teachers, instructors, what subjects do you think they would each be best at teaching?
Okay, well, we're going to start with the easy ones, and then we'll go harder. Bonnie would definitely be a theater teacher. Well, theater or music. Let's see. Letitia would teach a small section of U.S. history with the women's rights movement, with probably Jasmineism, because they would be phenomenal at that. Shondo and Andrew would be gym teachers. Or it would depend on the grade level. Like, I think Andrew would make an amazing kindergarten teacher. He is such a big kid at heart. And he loves the little kids, and he loves to play with them. And I think he would be like, people would think he was like that Robin Williams movie where he looks like he's 30s or 40s, but he's actually 8 years old. Like, is he a student or a teacher? Let's see. Adria would do something. I mean, her job's with computers, and she's really smart, and she's got that kind of like tone where she'd be good at teaching a computer class. Let's see, Lena. And she's a school counselor, but I'm trying to think if she was a teacher, what would she teach?
How to be a hero.
How to be a hero. Okay, we'll go with that. Who am I leaving out? Jim? Jim would work in the school library.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Christian. What would Christian do? Now, I can't throw him. I'd like to throw him into the gym teacher category, too, just because of the physical stuff he does with the Ren Fair. But I think he'd be good at, like, if you could do a focus on world history back at that time, because he's really into that, I think, the whole, like, Renaissance era. Obviously, since he works at Ren Fair, he'd be good with that.
Ashley?
Ashley would be a polo coach. Because I don't know. I mean, well, depending on the private school, they might have horseback riding classes. So that, I mean, Katie. Oh, Katie. She would work security. She would do school security. She likes yelling and being loud too much. I could just hear, "Where's your ID? Get out of the hallway. Get to class." And she'd love every minute of it. Or principal. She'd be a hard-ass principal, too.
Ooh.
So, yeah, it depends on the school. If it was a normal school, then, decent people do that thing. Swag school, we all know Shonda would be the principal of Swag school.
Of course.
Superintendent.
Yeah, superintendent of Swag school. I think that's everyone, isn't it? Yeah, that's everyone.
Yeah, I think that was everyone. That's awesome. Okay, I think this is a good part in the show that we do our usual switcheroo. And Patrick, I mean, do you have any questions us as a group, as representatives of the Quest Army that we can answer?
I'm positive this has been asked before, like what your favorite moment on the show was. That had to have been asked like one of the first ones, right?
It's come up before, but it's a good one to answer.
You're not going to repeat answers or anything? You can come up with a backup one or a second favorite moment? Or...
Well, yeah, I mean, we've got a completely different participants, so why don't we go with that?
Yeah. All right, cool.
Rather than call on you guys, why don't you just stick your hand up or yell at me if you have an answer? Because if you don't, I have to make Becca go.
Aw, poor Becca's sacrifice.
Actually, why don't we do that, Becca? If you can do that, then that just gives everyone a couple minutes.
Well, one of the things, like a favorite moment or a favorite thing of hearing, was the whole show itself. Just kind of, it promoted good values as a whole. Anyways, and that was a surprise to us. We watched it, but realizing, like with Leticia and Lena, that they wanted to always make sure somebody had someone behind them. That when they were having that discussion about
Leticia specifically.
Yeah.
This idea of
always offering people support.
Yep.
And it's like, first when we heard reality show, it's like, you kind of roll your eyes and you're like, I know what's going to happen on this. And to have people who are supposed to be in competition supporting each other, but then to actually hear them have a conversation like that was definitely a moment where it's like, this show is just incredible. incredible. And so I'd have to say that's one of my favorite exchanges.
It was seeing the contestants be a family.
Yes, that's the.
You know, and good times, bad times, but
Yeah.
otherwise, you know, just to see them supporting each other.
Yeah, but I mean, especially that exchange of those two having, you know, talking about stand behind everybody, give everybody that support. It was just like, that's awesome.
And unfortunately, the video for each of you has kind of frozen, so I wouldn't even be able to see if you raised your hands. So I'm afraid I'm going to call on you and hope for the best. So, why don't we, Josh, I can see you moving. Josh, go ahead.
Okay. So, interestingly enough, I heard about this show maybe 4 or 5, maybe halfway through the show, and I heard about it through a Facebook Dungeons and Dragons group that I was part of, and they said, "Hey, has anybody seen this show?" You know, at first it's kind of like LARPing, but then by the 3rd episode, you're just rooting for them, and it's awesome. So I binged watched like half of the series, you know, half the show. And so there were several points in those first, 5 hours. And for me, them seeing the castle, that was truly just blew my mind. And I was jealous. Jasmine, in episode 2, where she was the first to really please Ansgar, make him, and that's when I realized maybe Ansgar wasn't so bad. Those were the 2 moments that I think jumped out the most. But really, it ended up being a lot of, the teamwork. There was the lack of backstabbing. Just I couldn't believe that this was a reality show and that these people weren't just friends, and that people like Jim were saying and Adria were saying, we need to make sure the best person that's going to be a hero is the one that stays here. We will never, like Fox News, if Fox would never run a reality show that had those values. But that really, that's just what I think separates this from everything else that we've seen, and it's why I really hope we.
Sorry about that.
I'm just talking to you guys.
And here we thought he was just being studious.
Okay.
We lost him a long time ago.
That's interesting. Okay, Josh,
Patrick.
on the top.
Patrick, I was saying the moment I got hooked was every moment that you were on TV.
Why, thank you.
They couldn't have picked a better cast. They couldn't. I don't believe they could.
Yeah, no. I was rooting for you at the end, though. The Final 4. It was. Anyway, it was a lot of things for me, so that's me.
Cool.
Okay, let's pick on someone else. Misty.
What? I can't think of anything right now.
I'll come back.
Someone
Ron's laughing
Yeah.
because you forgot again.
There's a book bag back there, by the way. I didn't realize you could see that thing. Has that been lighting up at all? That bag?
Several times.
It's been good.
Sorry about that. I didn't even. I'm like trying to block it.
No, I think I'll always be a Quest fan, and it is definitely. I don't normally get into TV shows as much as I have with this show, because I was so surprised at how they treated everybody, and I have never ever seen that on any other show, and it was just, I was like, yeah, this is awesome. When I first saw the promos about it, I said, yeah, this is going to be cool because I love this type of stuff. But as I got into it and, you saw how Bonnie treated Patrick treated Bonnie, and you just got into their friendship, and you wanted to be their friends. And you wanted to, you just love people like that. And it's just been one incredible ride, and we thank y'all for that, for helping to create something that is truly memorable and something we'll definitely never, ever, ever forget for as long as we live.
That's
Thank
awesome.
That's perfect. Stacy.
Okay, well, showing my colors. Episode 1, the Vizier's history lesson. Because that show, well...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm
No, I'm just giving you a hard time.
I love the history of it. Now, if we're going to talk about Marcello, it was episode 2 when Ralia fell, and I went CSI on it, and that's when he started talking to me. So that's that. But no, his history lesson that he was given to give showed the care that the producers and the writers put into the setting, and that sold me. I mean, I think I even tweeted the network, "Yes, you've got me, sold, done." But just the thought that went into this, it wasn't just a cardboard facade that they just put up and hoped you guys bought it. They actually put so much thought into it, and that's what got me. Now, for you, my favorite scene for you, the Rana village, putting you guys on the spot and making you justify your existence to the Rana chief.
That's cool.
For all of you, just your ability to that was your improv test right there, and it's awesomely done.
Thank you. Yeah, that was nerve-wracking. That whole. They're like, "Yeah, you've got to speak." I'm like, "What? No. I mean, no. What do you mean I have to give a speech? I don't want to give a speech."
Now, after that, I'll admit I was afraid for Marcello's life because I thought the 4 of you were going to jump him.
Yeah.
I'll see you later. I was like, oh god, here we go. Next.
My favorite Patrick scene of all time, of course, when he throws that cage off Bonnie. That'll be my all-time favorite Patrick scene.
Yep.
Let's see. Ron, how about you?
I'm actually going to defer to Amanda. I think she was the first to raise her hand. I'll let her answer.
What a gentleman.
For some reason, I'm really sorry. You are all still frozen. The good news is you're all smiling. Amanda, go ahead.
Well, first of all, my favorite thing that got me hooked was with, of course, Jasmine saying that she learned everything from, her imagination. Which
Yes.
is I know everyone loves that part, but I freaked out with anything with the dragon.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Except part of me was like, we should just free the dragon. It's burning down a village.
Environmental engineer.
It was like,
I got another challenge. Let me go free.
Take care of it.
You can build them a home.
But yeah, I loved the way that they did that with all the special effects. It was really cool.
Awesome. Very excited. I just got to play this every time. All right, we'll just close that now. Oh my god, I can't stop it. Stop!
Just picture an Ansgar Creo Zero dance party.
I would love to see those two dance to that. This hangout is just completely degraded now.
Let's.
And it's your fault.
It is.
Lorelai, do you have anything?
Actually, yeah, I do. I was actually a week early in turning in on the show. I got my dates wrong. I thought it actually started a week before it did. So when I turned on and did not see it, I was like, no! I want to watch the quest! Because it reminds me of what I used to do in high school with my best friend. We would LARP. We LARPed all the time. And we would come up with these great stories and stuff. And I'll be honest, I loved the quest from the minute I saw it. But I loved how it had that camaraderie, where it didn't have the backstabbing. It was actually a nice quality show where you could sit and watch. And as it progressed, the Paladins really were wanting to see who would be the best, the true hero, who would save Everealm. And it was awesome to see how that progressed. And watching it, and you and Bonnie were like my favorite Paladins because she was like, you know, like you could really relate to her. Like I grew up and it was just like Bonnie, you know, and it was like if she can do that, then anybody can do that, you know. You don't have to necessarily be a be tough or whatever. And that's what I took away from it. And I also love the scene where you threw the cage. And then one of my other favorite scenes was when she was singing Ansgar the Fierce.
Yeah, that was a fun one to do.
But it was the best. It was the best show on TV because it like all nerds and geeks and everybody can relate to it, and you can go, oh, I've done this in my past, or it makes you smile and thinking about it. So the whole thing overall was just, I loved how they came up with the concept and how they did it right.
Yeah, they did. They did.
That's awesome. Thank you, Lorelei. Ron.
Yes. So for me, I saw the trailer about 2 weeks out. I think ABC was celebrating 4th of July or Bastille Day with a Harry Potter marathon. I don't know. It seems like it's on all the year. So I mean, the moment I saw the trailer, I was hooked. So but I think the moment I knew I was like emotionally invested in the show was I think when Jim was voted off. I remember doing air punches because I was a little bit mad at the final vote. But just overall, just everything that everyone said, it's been great, and I like how the network, the quality that the network had, and that it wasn't meant to make fun of anyone's particular culture or interest. That it was respectful, and I think that was the main turn on for me. So. Yeah, there's more I could say, but I think a lot of people have pretty much said the same thing as I have.
You were just a really nice guy, Ron. Jeez.
Try to be.
Should be buddies.
We are almost at an hour, so I'm going to answer this and keep it short. One of the moments that stayed with me, and some of you may have seen me say this or use it on either Twitter or Facebook, but it was episode 2. And it was Bonnie, her head tipped in shame at the time, in front of Ansgar, looking up at him and saying, "I can do better," and reiterating that. And that stuck with me, and I've caught myself. I've said it at work. I say it to Becca. I've said it within the Quest Army, and it's become a personal mantra. And I'm gonna have to thank Bonnie again because it kind of changes how I tackle things. I can always do better, and I think that's true of everyone, and it's become a motto for the Quest Army. Anyway, on that note, it's 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, depending on where you are. It's been an hour. Patrick, it has been an absolute pleasure. This has been hilarious. Oh, and there's Patrick.
Did I forget to say, Bill, is it just me or is this happening to everyone?
It's just you.
That's you, Patrick.
Does it make you feel better if I say, oh, it's happened to all of us?
Well, if I didn't know you were lying. Way to go. Way to promote that. Dishonesty. No.
Jeff was just spilling his heart.
I know.
You can do better.
I can do better. That's for sure.
You know what? I should have never let the Vizier sell the internet. This is what happens when you have a second-rate sorcerer doing technology stuff. I see her face. She's like,
She's about to go Crucio on you.
You have about 5 seconds to come up with a good comeback before you lost the moment. No, I don't love the Vizier, though.
Patrick, I had a bunch of questions I didn't get to throw at you. I might throw them at Twitter if you don't mind.
No, that's fine.
That's actually a great idea. It's again, like I say, it's been an hour. The time has flown. Patrick, you've been absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. It means a lot to us. And thank you for being accessible to the fans. You and the other Paladins, the cast, the crew, EPs have always remained available, and you don't see
That is
that
awesome.
too often. You just don't see it too often.
Everything
So- I could keep
Oh, great.
going
That's
I could keep going for another hour, but we're going to wrap it up. You guys, you don't have to go anywhere. For those watching, thank you so much. See you in the next Quest Army Hangout. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.